Hey everyone, forget the champagne flutes, the private jets, and the sprawling Hamptons estates you always see in the movies. The real architecture of American wealth? It's overwhelmingly boring, completely invisible, and honestly, it's probably parked in a driveway right next door. In this explainer, we're totally stepping away from the flashy motivational seminars and the loud guru advice. Instead, we're going to dive deep into the hard economic data of the United States. We're looking at how wealth is actually constructed in this country, focusing on the hidden systems and the specific psychological frameworks that just quietly build fortunes. So let me ask you, what does an American millionaire actually look like? Seriously, picture one in your head for just a second. Do you instantly envision some 20-something trust fund kid stepping out of a neon green Lamborghini? Or maybe a slick Wall Street executive dripping in designer labels, shouting into a phone? I mean, for decades, we've been conditioned by media to associate millions of dollars with massive, loud consumption. We just assume that having money means showing off that money. But today, we're going to strip away all that cinematic glamour and investigate the actual mundane reality of the American class system. Because what you think you know about millionaires, it's likely completely wrong.
Okay, let's dive into this. There is just a massive disconnect between expectation and reality here. Hollywood expects us to believe that wealth is all about inherited trust funds and incredibly expensive supercars. But when we pull the actual economic research, the statistical reality of the United States tells a totally different story. The data reveals an economic landscape that's dominated by first-generation wealth and, frankly, incredibly mundane vehicles. The people who are actually holding the capital in this country, they aren't living in a movie script. They're living in a statistical reality that rewards quiet, disciplined accumulation over loud, depreciating spending. Notice the massive slice of data here. It completely destroys one of the most pervasive economic myths out there. See that tiny sliver? That represents inherited U.S. wealth. But the vast majority, taking up almost the entire circle, that is first-generation U.S. wealth. The vast majority of American millionaires are completely self-made. They didn't receive a massive inheritance. They didn't have a trust fund waiting for them the day they turned 18. This is absolutely a vital piece of data because it shifts our entire focus from ancestry to architecture. It proves mathematically that wealth in this country is largely constructed from the ground up, not just handed down from the generation before. And if you really want to know just how unglamorous this construction really is, take a look at the median cost of a millionaire's vehicle in the US. Look, I hate to ruin your cinematic expectations here, but the data shows the preferred vehicle of the American millionaire isn't a Ferrari. It's not a Bentley. It's often a slightly used Ford F-150 or a highly reliable Toyota Camry. Yeah, it turns out that when you're busy building a seven-figure net worth, you don't really care all that much about the new car smell. You care about depreciation. It's kind of a funny, dry reality of the economic data. The real symbol of American wealth isn't a shiny HUD ornament. It's a truck with 50,000 miles on it. Moving on to Section 1. Psychology over the paycheck. The scarcity versus abundance mindset. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is, if they aren't buying Lamborghinis, what exactly are they doing with their capital? Well, the answer lies in the core concept of invisible wealth. By definition, invisible wealth is net worth that's accumulated and compounding quietly, unseen by the public eye, rather than spent on depreciating lifestyle assets. You see, the financial factors that separate the wealthy from the average earner aren't just mathematical spreadsheets. They're deeply ingrained psychological frameworks. True wealth in the United States is actually what you do not see. It's the money that wasn't spent on the designer watch. It's the capital that wasn't dropped on the luxury vacation just to impress people on social media. Instead, it's sitting in index funds, it's tied up in real estate equity, it's silently multiplying in the background. It's entirely invisible to the naked eye. To build that invisible wealth, you need a specific psychological framework, and it's built on a few key pillars: delaying immediate gratification, actively avoiding lifestyle creep, and prioritizing your overall net worth over a high visible income. These psychological habits form a mindset of long-term abundance. And let me tell you, it takes a serious mental framework to successfully fight off the relentless pressure of American consumer culture. I mean, we're bombarded daily with advertisements and societal expectations telling us to spend, to upgrade, to show off. The millionaire mindset, it's simply the psychological defense mechanism against that exact cultural pressure. They value future freedom over present status.
All right, let's jump to Section 2, the boring systems of riches, the framework of accumulation. Psychology and mindset alone won't build a financial empire, right? You need an actual physical structure to house your capital. Wealthy individuals systematize their cash flow into a fundamentally two-step framework. Step 1, income isolation. Step 2, automated deployment. So the crucial point is, millionaires do not leave their money sitting around in a checking account waiting to be spent. They use rigid, automated frameworks to instantly route money away from their primary accounts and directly into compounding assets, things like 401ks, Roth IRAs, or brokerage accounts. The capital is isolated and deployed into the market before they even have a chance to look at it, let alone spend it on impulse purchases. So why do they structure it this way? Simple. Willpower fails, but systems scale. Building wealth isn't about trying really hard to save at the end of the month. It's about leveraging ordinary US tax codes and investment frameworks that do the heavy lifting automatically. If you rely on your own daily discipline to invest leftover cash, well, human nature dictates that you'll eventually fail. The true architecture of wealth demands that the system does the heavy lifting for you, completely removing human emotion from the equation. I absolutely love this quote. Wealth is simply the unspent income that is systematically deployed into assets. Read that again. It's literally utterly devoid of flashy guru tactics. There's no secret crypto strategy here. There's no overnight day trading trick that you have to buy a course to learn. It is just boring, repetitive systems creating a mathematically inevitable path to wealth over decades. It's the power of compounding interest doing what it does best, fueled by a relentless automated machine that never sleeps. Which brings us to Section 3, the ultimate wealth paradox. Income does not equal wealth. This brings us to the most fascinating part of this explainer, the totally counterintuitive reality that the highest earners often have the lowest actual net worth. And this brilliantly illustrates the paradox in action by comparing two incredibly different American profiles. On the left, we've got a US doctor. Income, $300,000 a year. Net worth, zero. Lifestyle, a flashy, high-cost coastal tech hub with a massive mortgage, 2 leased luxury cars, and private school tuition. On the right, a US teacher. Income, $60,000 a year. Net worth, over $1 million. Lifestyle, a modest Midwestern suburb, driving a paid-off 10-year-old car, and heavily investing a steady percentage of their income automatically for 30 years. The high-debt coastal earner looks rich to everyone around them, but is actually functionally broke. Meanwhile, the localized Midwestern teacher looks perfectly average, but is the literal millionaire next door. Let's move to and see how this builds over a 10-year period when we compare high lifestyle creep spending against actual net worth accumulation. Notice how the spending bar rises perfectly in tandem with any increase in income. Every time this high earner gets a raise or a bonus, they buy a nicer car, they take a more expensive vacation, or they upgrade their home. Unchecked lifestyle creep absolutely devours high incomes. It keeps people who are earning multiple six figures effectively broke. They're basically running on a massive financial treadmill where they have to keep working extremely high-stress jobs just to service their lifestyle debt. Earning $300,000 a year is just a transaction. Keeping it is an architecture. Let that sink in for a moment. A massive paycheck is merely cash flow. It's just water moving rapidly through a pipe. If there's no reservoir built to catch it, the water simply washes away. True wealth requires building that unglamorous automated architectural system to trap, retain, and multiply that cash flow. Wealth is structural. It is never just transactional. So we've stripped away the Hollywood myths. We've looked at the hard data, the disciplined psychology, and the boring, automated systems that actually construct American wealth. But I want to leave you with a question about your own financial architecture. Look at the systems you currently have in place. If true wealth is what you don't see, what is your current lifestyle hiding from your future self?